this video, I will tell you how I hypnotize my own mind. I will tell you exactly what I did and how I did it. And in the end, I will show you how you can do it as well. Let me just start with an amazing study I discovered. A study of 2012 found if you listen to certain frequencies, your taste buds will respond and then you will taste a kind of minty sensation in your mouth. In this study, they let people listen to different sound frequencies and then they asked them to rate the intensity of the minty sensation, and the results were significant. On a very few high-pitched frequencies, the participants responded that they had a very minty sensation in their mouth. So now I want to do this experiment with you. In order for this to work, it is very important you listen to these instructions. Please close all the windows and doors in your room. Make sure you're in a quiet place. And the best results you will have if you use your headphones. Also make sure that there is no toothpaste or a mint or a chewing gum nearby you. If you just brush your teeth, pause the video, save it, come back to this later and do the experiment. So when I play this sound, you should feel a cool, soft, refreshing sensation in your mouth as if you just ate a mint. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. This might have not worked for everyone. If it didn't work for you, it means you are probably a more skeptical person. And if it worked for you, that means you're probably a more creative person. Because the study I just told is totally fake. There is no study in 2012 and sound doesn't create taste. But then the question is, why did you still feel this minty sensation? I'm certain most of you actually felt this sensation. If you didn't, try it again and really try to imagine that taste. Because it is all in the power of your mind. So what a hypnotist is doing, he creates a certain state in the audience that the audience is more suggestible. And some people are indeed more suggestible than others. But another great aspect that is playing here with the mint sensation is it is the placebo effect. So you expected it to work, so your brain created a sensation for you. If you felt this minty sensation, that means that you are also a more suggestible person. But that is amazing news, because then you really can benefit from the tools I will give you in the rest of the video. And if you're not a suggestible person, then these tools will especially help you, but you have to practice a bit more. Training your brain is like training a muscle. It is not you have it or you don't have it. No, you work on it. But hypnosis is not only useful to change your taste buds, but it can also change your mindset and your behavior, especially when it comes to trading. Most traders fail because they let their emotions guide their decisions. They get greedy, they get fearful, they get impatient, they get overconfident. They don't follow their plan, they revenge trade, they chase their losses. They take unnecessary risks or miss opportunities. What if you could eliminate your negative emotions and the beliefs that are holding you back? How would you trade then? Well, that is exactly what I did, and I will show you now how. It are just 3 simple steps. First one is change your story. The second one is activate the flow state. And the third one, mental rehearsal. For each one, I will give you the explanation and how you can implement it. So if you experience this minty sensation, it means you believed in a different outcome. If you want to see more examples, I recommend you watch this video of Darren Brown. People have overcome fears. People have overcome so many things thanks to just a simple placebo. Because the placebo gives a reason to think differently. The placebo gives you a reason to change your story. If you're capable of so much more thanks to a placebo, that means the power is ultimately inside of you already. So not only can a placebo give you a reason to transform your story, because you have that power yourself to rewrite your story. James Clear illustrates this beautifully in his book Atomic Habits. When you want to change any behavior, any action, then it's not, I'm trying to do this, I will go do that. No, you have to become a different person. A great example is when smoking. If you're trying to quit smoking and you tell your surroundings and you tell yourself, I'm trying to quit smoking, that means you're still identifying yourself as a smoker. But from the moment you're telling yourself, I do not smoke, that is a powerful narrative. And in that way, you have to create a new identity. It is not what you're trying to do, what are you doing? And even if you're not doing at this point, even if you're still smoking, if you keep telling yourself that you're not a smoker, eventually you will create a new identity for yourself. The same principle is also used in sports psychology by Dr. Nate Zinsser. He makes athletes perform by changing their self-perception. If a runner is telling, I cannot perform under pressure, then Zinsser helps the runner to create a new narrative. And that new narrative is, I thrive in competitive environments. The essence is in creating a story that empowers you, that drives you, a narrative that persuades yourself that you're capable, that you're confident, and you're a consistent performer. The problem is that we often define ourselves by our shortcomings, and we're often very hard on ourselves. But if you change the narrative, when you keep on telling yourself that you're disciplined, eventually your behavior starts to adapt. Another great example is done by psychologist Kelly McGill in Oxford University. She did a study about stress. The people who believed that stress is bad for them, actually stress had a negative effect on their life. But the other group where they said the stress is good for you, those people who saw stress as something great, stress became great for their bodies. And in the same way, Dr. Nate Zinsser writes, all the arousal you experience, this is your amazing body that creates a natural drug for you. Your body knows exactly what you need and how much you need it. And if you start to embrace this arousal, to embrace the uncertainty, that is a tremendous effective way of changing your story. Instead of how will your life change if you believe that stress is good for you? How will your life change if you keep telling yourself that you're disciplined? How will your life change if you keep on telling yourself that you're patient? So here I have an exercise for you. Identify the qualities you want to embody. For example, I am patient. I wait for my setup to appear. Second one, I am in control of my emotions. When my stop loss get triggered, I move on. This trait is just one of 1,000 traits. If you make your whole list of every attribute you want to have, read it every day, listen to it every day, eventually, when a moment is there, when you are in that situation, your behavior will also change. And I want to leave this section with one of my favorite words of Lao Tzu. Watch your thoughts because they become your words. Watch your words because they become your actions. Watch your actions because they become your habits. Watch your habits because they become your character. Watch your character because that becomes your destiny. By creating a new story for yourself, you unlock so much more potential that is inside of you. Now we'll move on to the second strategy. This is used by professional hypnotists like Darren Brown, but it's also used by the real Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort. This is a strategy that is based on neuro-linguistic programming, and it's called anchoring. You might already be aware of this phenomenon. Imagine, for example, a smell that reminds you of your childhood. And when you feel the smell, then your whole emotional state changes. When a song on the radio appears and that reminds you of your ex, and then you get this whole emotional feeling. This effect is just achieved by classical conditioning. You might be familiar with Pavlov, his experiments. Ring a bell, then give the dog food. Do it every time, then only you have to ring the bell and the dog will already create that saliva without the food. Now, you can train yourself in the same way by the power of using an anchor. You can do that with a particular sound, a particular movement, a particular smell. It doesn't really matter which one you use. There are actual special companies who create a smell for this reason. It's Boom Boom Energy. It's recommended by Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street. And what Jordan Belfort is doing when he needs to be in the zone, when he needs to be fired up, when he needs to be in the moment, he takes a smell his state changes and he's ready to go. Now, why is that? Because on the surface, this seems like some fake snake oil. But I will tell you why it works and how you can create it yourself without buying anything. But imagine this first. If you can just smell something, all of a sudden your state is ready to go, to be in the zone, to be fired up, to go. How great would that be? A certain smell is just meaningless at the surface. You have to give it meaning first. That is with the power of mental rehearsal. You first have to imagine that state that you want to be in. Imagine trading to your plan. Imagine yourself taking the optimal traits and being patient and being disciplined. Give yourself music that brings you to the state. And whenever you're in the state, you can link it to a particular smell. One thing I like to do is just imagine myself trading. Imagine myself doing the right thing every time. Imagine myself in this optimal scenario. Listen to music that brings me there. And when I reach that state, I clench my fists. This clenching of my fist is now associated with this heightened feeling, with this flow state. And every time I feel myself already in the flow state, I also clench my fist. Whenever you're in that state, keep on programming your mind. So then whenever you need it, you can use your anchor to come in that flow state again. And then your neural pathways link that flow state with your ritual that you do, with the smell, with the sound, with the clenching of your fist. And then the last and the third tool is mental rehearsal. But you don't have to take my word for it. A Stanford study on skiers, researchers found that mental rehearsal prepares our minds for the real-world action. Skiers who mentally rehearsed their routine showed improved performers, suggesting that the brain learns physical tasks even without actual movement. University of Chicago free throw study. Dr. Basietto conducted an experiment with 3 groups of people. The first group practiced free throws, the second group only visualized making free throws, and the third did nothing. After 30 days, the first group improved by 24%, while the second group improved by 23% without physically touching a basketball. Visualization technique for athletes. Studies have shown that athletes can improve both physical and psychological reactions in certain situations with visualization. Mental rehearsal trains the mind and body to perform skills imagined. Olympians and mental imagery. Research indicates that visualization can improve performance by up to 45%. The more mental repetition performed, the better the athlete becomes at the task, demonstrating the power of visualization in sports psychology. So if you can imagine yourself in a scenario, in a trade, keep on practicing in your mind. Have a very clear visualization of your setups, of when to take profit, of where you put your stop loss, how you are patient, how you are disciplined. Keep on training your mind, keep on creating these neural pathways, and then use an anchor. Visualization isn't just wishful thinking. It is actual practice. And in this actual practice, a part of that is visualize difficult scenarios. Visualize where you make the most mistake. Where do you get emotional? Where do you get greedy? Where do you abandon your plan? When does that happen? And then imagine that scenario there and really feel the emotions and feel what you're going through. How do you feel in those situations? You will practice for the difficult scenarios. You will practice for an uncertain market. You will practice for unforeseen volatility in your mind. It is about mentally preparing for inevitable unpredictability of the market. What will you do when your setups don't work out? What will you do when your stop loss gets hit time after time? What will you do if the trade goes right to your take profit and just crashes down? What will you do in those situations? If you mentally prepare for the things that are difficult for you, then eventually, after all this preparation, you know what to do when the situation is there. You know what to do in difficult situations. As the studies show, visualization is not some wishful thinking. It actually creates new neural pathways in your brain. It actually improves your performance. If you use these tools correctly, they can truly change your life. If you truly want to have the most out of this practice, I can make a special video session where I guide you through the process, where I incorporate these 3 principles so you don't have to do all the hard work. I'll ask you to do, please leave me a comment. Tell me that you want me to make this video, because these kind of videos are not the typical videos that will get a lot of views. If you like this video, this one is especially for you. You have to watch this, especially selected on what you need to watch. See you there.